Your biggest enemy isn't lack of time. So people complain about lack of time. But since the beginning of time, every day has always been 24 hours. 2000 years ago, one day was 24 hours. 1000 years ago, one day was 24 hours. 100 years ago, one day was 24 hours. And the world has witnessed incredible civilization, incredible progress. People within this time, we got the airplane, we got the internet, we got the automobiles, which incidentally are not even up to 150 years old, the motor car. And then within this time, there have been great empires built and lost, and all this happened within 24-hour days. People did incredible things. And we open the history books and we read about men and women who did incredible things. I mean, you read about the Mandelas of this world, or you read about the Mother Teresas of this world. You read about the who was this president, that head of state that was assassinated. Was it Burkina Faso or something? His name is dancing in my mind. Some really great African leaders, and I read about Kwame Nkrumah of Lagos and some real patriots who loved the continent of Africa. Or you read about who was this Congo guy, Patrice Lumumba, and these guys, in their 20s, 30s, 40s at the time, they did incredible things. And each person had 24 hours. Each person had 24 hours. Shakespeare wrote all those books. He had 24-hour days. It's just amazing. So is it that the days are becoming shorter, or that we are becoming distracted? The days are not getting shorter. We are becoming distracted. So it looks like we have less time. So today we are talking about the fact that your biggest enemy isn't lack of time, it is distraction. Because right now we are facing distraction epidemic like never before. There is epidemic of civilization, of distraction. And then I dare say that if the world is going to be destroyed, it's going to be by distraction. And it's actually happening. So let me give you everyday examples of distraction. Some in my own life, from my own experience, and then some from what I see around. The number one example, everyday example of distraction that, this happens to students, it happens to workers, it happens to everybody. It happens to pilots, it happens to drivers, it happens to professors, it happens to engineers. It's just an epidemic. It's called the infinite scroll, or infinite scroll, depending on where you come from. The infinite scroll trap is a trap. So you pick up your phone to check one message, and then 1 hour later, you are still deep in TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts. It's happened to me. It's happened to me. Believe me, I was shocked. I just said, okay, let's take a look at Instagram. I made a post there and I wanted to see and if I could reply to some of the comments and things like that. And then that's how I opened, and then from one For You video to another. And I found myself spending more than 1.5 hours of my precious time. From there, I started looking at Trump. From there, Russia and Ukraine. From there, oh my goodness, analysis of all kinds of things, of how Russia is sabotaging peace effort, how Ukraine, all kinds of things. And then you start reading, and it's like TikTok has a way of just feeding you what you want to hear. So that is a huge distraction. And if I mention the one that affects you, just type in the comment section. Just say, that's me. All right. So there's the infinite scroll trap. Type in the comment section so that those joining later can pick it up. So the infinite scroll trap. It's a trap. You start scrolling and you never stop. It also happens with Facebook Reels. And then the second one is the one more episode syndrome. Type it in the comment section. Type it. I need to see it typed. One more episode syndrome is another major distraction in our world today. And what is this one more episode syndrome? You tell yourself, just one more episode before I go to bed. Okay, but Netflix autoplays, YouTube autoplays, it plays the next one, and then before you know it, it's 2 a.m. So your brain gets addicted to the dopamine rush, leaving you tired and unproductive the next day. Has it happened to you? You know, you just keep one more episode, and then by 2-3 a.m., you're still watching another episode. So you have just 2-3 hours to sleep, and then you wake up to go to work, and then you're totally tired and that. And you see, some of the algorithms or some of the content producers exploit this one more episode syndrome because the brain is always looking for, I mean, if there's instead of giving you their comedy skit in one 20-minute clip, they break it into 7 or 8. Part 1, you watch part 1. Of course, you want to watch part 2, and then you want to watch part 3. Before you know it, you've spent 4 hours. Okay, so that's the second one. Remember, the first one is the infinite scroll trap. The second one is one more episode syndrome. The third distraction, everyday distraction, is WhatsApp and group chat overload. My goodness, so many groups. And then, you know, sometimes you have these people who chronically add you to every new group. They add you. You didn't even give them permission. They just keep adding you. So you have so many chats. And then there are people, you know, the estate association, residence association, they create one group. And they say, okay, this one for this. They create another group. Okay, this one is for sharing jokes. They create another group. This is for politics jokes and things like that. Terrible, you know. So you've got to purge your WhatsApp group because sometimes there's a chat overload. And then sometimes you belong to one WhatsApp group chat. And then it's like the people there are some particular members in that group who don't have work. It's like this is just to continue to forward every single accident that happens. They forward it. Every gist lover gist, every celebrity gist, every whatever, every scandal, they post it. Overload. And of course, I don't have the patience, you know, for such WhatsApp groups. So instead of working on your goals, you're replying to LOL and then voice notes that you didn't even ask for. That's a major distraction. WhatsApp can actually destroy your dreams. It can. Okay, number 4, online shopping distraction. So you go online to check one item. 20 minutes later, you're comparing the sneakers, you're comparing, I think the in thing now in our space on TikTok is these solar powered cameras. You say, oh, this one has 4 or 5 cameras. This one turns 360 degrees. And then you start going, you know, from a seller to seller, comparing and looking at things you didn't even need it. The ad just popped up on your feed, and then before you knew it, you're already checking out features, reading about where it comes from in China. Or, you know, you see this ad from China, they say, give us the floor plan of your building. And then if you just happen to be building at the time, they say, give us your floor plan. And then we're going to we're going to build furniture that will fit that floor plan. And then we will do it under $10,000. And then they show you, I mean, before you know it, you're not even building house. But you're already shopping floor. I mean, you're not going to buy those floor tiles or whatever they want to give you or furniture. So online shopping distraction. All right. So e-commerce sites also use notifications and flash sales to keep you engaged. And then some of them have these cookies that track you. So have you noticed that sometimes you watch something on TikTok, when you go to Facebook, it follows you there. You start seeing things you've seen, advertisements you've seen, you watched on TikTok, they follow you. There were some shoes You checked out in Temu, on TikTok, and then you go to Facebook, they follow you. Then you go to YouTube, they are following you all over the place, like monitoring spirit. That is distraction. Okay, then the fifth one is what I call the fake productivity trap. You spend hours researching, planning, watching tutorials, but you never take action. Has it happened to you? Just watching tutorials on AI, watching all kinds of things. You go to YouTube, it sends you to one website, and you have spent 5 hours researching. And then at the end of it, you take no action. So reading about success does not make you successful. What makes you successful is execution. But you see, there is that sense of, okay, we are being productive, just surfing internet, scrolling, searching websites, comparing, watching videos. And so it just gives you this illusion that you're productive, but you're not. The number 6 distraction is multitasking. All right? Trying to work while checking emails, listening to a podcast, and responding to messages. We call it multitasking. One book that opened my eyes about multitasking is actually The One Thing. If you haven't read it, it's a book I recommend that you do. Research has actually shown that there's really nothing like multitasking. Okay? Your brain works much better when it focuses on one thing at a time. So, but what looks like multitasking is actually your brain doing loops. Doing loops between distraction. You start one thing, and you have the illusion that you can be doing them simultaneously and then doing them very well. But it doesn't work. It's a distraction. Multitasking is a distraction. Number 7, you can call this one the quick breaks. Make a note of all this. Make a note of all these distractions, different distractions. Okay, type them in the comment section. So quick breaks. You tell yourself, let me just check my notification real quick. And then it turns out into a 30-minute distraction spiral. Sometimes in the middle of work, you say, oh, let me check what Nvidia is doing today. Let me check what Apple is doing today. Let me just check Apple. Or let me just check this stock in between what you're doing, your project. And by the time you finish looking at Apple, you are doing Amazon. Before you know it, 30 minutes, 40 minutes have gone in the stock market. Okay? So, or you say, let me take a short nap. And then that short nap becomes 2 hours rest. So be aware of that distraction. Another big one is food. And you can add coffee, like for my friends, in the US. Coffee. So I call this the food and coffee distraction. So every time you sit to work, you suddenly feel hungry. Has it happened to you? I'm writing a book, I'm writing some article, I'm developing some material, some content. Right in the middle of it, I feel like having watermelon juice. Then I check, watermelon has finished in the house. Then I drive out to the market, buy watermelon, come, and then I slice it up, then put it in the fridge to cool it, and whoa! Before I know it, that's 1.5 hours, 2 hours. And then by the time I try to come back to the book I was writing, or to the thing I'm writing, it's gone. This thing is real, I tell you. There's a distraction epidemic. None of us is spared, including me. And I'm going to tell us what to do later. Has that happened to you? If that has happened to you, let me know. You start doing something, some serious work. You're a lecturer, you're marking scripts, or you're preparing something. Then all of a sudden you just feel like, oh, let me take a date. Let me have pineapple juice. And of course, there's no pineapple juice ready, but your craving is so much you leave everything. Or let me grab a snack. And then you end up, for those of you who have television in your offices, I don't know why anybody should have television in the office, but people do, not judging you, or even in your house. And so before you know it, you end up, wasting that whole day. Has that happened to you? Say, that's me in the comment section if that has happened to you. Number 9, household chores as an escape. So you avoid working on your big idea and suddenly feel like you need to clean up. You need to clean the dishes in the kitchen. You need to do laundry. You need to rearrange furniture. Has this thing happened to anybody, or is it just me? Or I take a look at my library and I'm like, oh my goodness, I haven't really sectioned my library very well. So I'm seeing business and relationship books in the same place. Okay, I feel no, I need to take this one and put it in this particular place. Whoa, and then you're using it as an escape. At the end of it, the work that you actually get needed to do doesn't get done. So productivity is not just about being busy. It's about doing what truly moves the needle. That's doing what truly matters. Because you can be busy doing all the chores. Yes, you can do your laundry. You can do the dishes. You can move furniture around. But at the end of it, it doesn't get the work done. Number 10, very interesting. You know, the people who, they send you a chat or they send you an SMS and then, can we talk? You know, those people who always do this, can we talk? I had a gentleman who every time he will call me up and say, can we, very big man, like multi-millionaire in dollars. Okay, and then he's a foreigner. And then he got interested in me coaching him, executive coaching, but he never commits. He never commits. So every time he just call me up, can we meet? Can you come for coffee? So I drank the coffee the first, and then so that I can pick your brain. So I drank the coffee. We drank. I'm not a coffee drinker. I mean, I'm not. It's not my culture. I mean, if he said, let's eat some pounded yam and ogbono soup, that would even make some more sense, you know. But this guy always calls me up. I want to pick your brain. Can we meet for coffee? And then we'll go coffee. I'll drink. Then he'll be picking my brain. So he kept picking until one day I said, I'm not drinking coffee again. I left him. You know, so those people are big distraction. Okay, so he wanted me to coach him, and he was not committing. But every time, come and drink coffee. Let me coach. Let me pick your brain, and then we'll be drinking coffee. He'll be asking me questions. He'll be writing. He picked my brain until there was nothing to pick there again. So I told him, I'm not drinking your coffee again. You know, I'm not drinking your coffee. So those people can be very serious distraction. They just say, or they send you a message and say, just a quick chat. Or they say, do you have a minute? Okay, so sometimes you learn to say no to unnecessary conversations. There are conversations. Has it happened to you? You know, these people just call you. Unnecessary conversation. And at the end of it, you are drained. And then it gets you nowhere and gets them nowhere. And somebody just calls me up to say, what do you think about what Donald Trump did to the Ukrainian president? What? For goodness sake, in the middle of my work. What's my business with the conversation that he had with the Ukrainian president in Doha? And it's not even your business. Number one, you're not an American. You are not a Ukrainian. You're a Nigerian. Why are you picking my brain, asking my opinion about what Donald Trump did with? Absolutely ridiculous. But you see, distraction comes in that nature as well. So those are the 10 everyday distractions. So we live in a war, okay, for our attention. You need to be aware of that. Your greatest possession right now is attention. Everybody wants it. The big companies want it. So they advertise all the time. And then you find it very difficult to keep yourself from losing focus, and then to be creative, and even to keep your drive. And then the same thing, apps, ads, notifications, they're designed to hook you. You know, so you look at your phone, and then every time you pick your phone, you know, there's these red notifications all over the place, you know. So the ability to concentrate now is a superpower in today's noisy world. Type that in the comment section. Type it. This should be somebody's aha moment. Listen, concentration, the ability to concentrate is a big superpower. If you have it, you're a powerful person in today's noisy world. Because you find very few people concentrate. It's bad with children because we give our children all these gadgets and all these video games and all these kinds of things that they, now, they're on the internet distracting them. So difficult to get, and then you're talking to a child. They are on phone, they can't even concentrate. And then to leave that smartphone, to get his eye off it for just a second is like big problem. Same thing with adults. Okay, so superpower that you want to develop, as part of your personal development program, is the superpower of concentration, the ability to concentrate. All right, so you need to grow your ability to concentrate. Yeah, okay. Betty, sure you get the idea. Betty says, to that my big man, who always gives me coffee. Betty says, no coffee, please. Bring ogbono soup. Okay. Chinweze says the ability to the ability to concentrate is a big superpower in today's noisy world. Thank you for capturing that. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, that's amazing. Wani Stephen says mine is reading online newspapers, and sometimes they take my time. No, not sometimes. They always do. And then once you read one headline, you find yourself hooked and distracted. I mean, it's like for those of you who are in Nigeria, if you are following this stupid story, really very stupid story about your Senate president, what do they even call him? And then one other woman, I don't follow these things. But every day in my feed, I can see newspapers, online newspapers, everybody, all the celebrity gist and gossip, everybody's talking about it. So I can imagine if you get hooked. Oh, you want to Akpabio? Okay, I think that's the guy's name, the Senate president, and then one other woman or something, So it's a rabbit hole, headline after headline after headline. So if you follow me, if you must read online newspapers, I plead with you, read business news, read business news, read investment news, read news about the economy. Find out what's the central bank doing, what's the stock market, what's the capital market doing, what is the foreign direct investment, the foreign direct investment flow into the country like right now, what factories are being built, being built where, what's happening with the cement industry, what's happening with the cost of power for manufacturers. These are the sort of things you should be reading. You should be reading, not stupid news like Senate president, and then woman and all that, because those guys are not even, they're not worth reading. They're not worth reading about. Okay, yes, Njideka, thanks for capturing that. Ability to concentrate is superpower. I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you consciously grow your ability to concentrate, you are going to stand like in 0.001% of the people on planet. People can concentrate. People find it difficult to concentrate these days. To concentrate, to hold one thought in their minds for 1 hour. It's literally impossible for 99% of today's people in today's noisy world. Okay? All right. Now, so you need to be aware that distraction is killing your dreams and productivity. I am telling you. You remember the proverb that said the dog said he would have won the race, but he stopped to pee. There are so many people who never achieve their dreams, and then what happened? Distraction. And so for some men, it's a distraction of women. Not because I see all the things that these young boys are posting online. King Solomon said that these immoral women reduce a man to a loaf of bread. And I see so many women who have lost, so many men who have lost focus. Because they can't control themselves in the presence of a female body part. It's incredibly insane how many people have destroyed their destiny. I was reading something the other day from the book of Solomon. Let me actually see if I can read it to you. I think it's worth reading at this particular. So just to give you an illustration of what destruction. And then if you know someone whose destiny, a man whose dream was destroyed, I'm sure every single one of you know somebody, maybe somebody you grew up with, who was supposed to be a very, very powerful man in the society, responsible person, but what happened to him? Destruction of women. So let me read something to you that Solomon wrote. And don't forget this as long as you live, what I am going to read to you. Because every time I read it, my God, every time I've read it, it's done something for me. Just give me a second to find it. It is something. And then if you're a parent, and then you have, if you're a parent and then you have a son, even if that son is 1 year or 2 years old, please read these things to this man every day. I mean, we have sons, and then we read Solomon's book so many times, and then we continue to read it. Listen very carefully. Listen very carefully, because he's talking about destruction. Okay. It's a long read, but it's very, very good for you. Solomon said, "My son, if you receive my words and treasure my commands within you, so that you incline your ear to wisdom and apply your heart to understanding, yes, if you cry out for discernment and lift up your voice for understanding, and if you seek her as silver and search for her as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord." Okay? And find the knowledge of God. He said, "For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk uprightly. He guards the paths of justice and preserves the way of his saints." Now, listen to this. He said, "When wisdom enters your heart and knowledge is pleasant to your soul, discretion will preserve you. Understanding will keep you, to deliver you from the way of evil." Because the way of evil is actually the way of destruction. Because listen, anything that actually takes you away, takes your eyes away from your purpose, from your destiny, is evil. Because evil doesn't want you to succeed. Evil doesn't want you to reach your destination. So anything that moves your eye to it. So Solomon is saying that discretion will keep you. All right. And he said, to deliver you from the way of evil, from the man who speaks perverse things. Now listen to the one I really want you to read to your son. Okay. He says, to deliver you from the immoral woman, to deliver you from the immoral woman, from the seductress who flatters with her words, who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. He's talking about seduction. See, you have them. They are all these hookup people you find everywhere. That's what he's talking about here. There were always hookups in those days. Solomon wrote this like maybe 3,000 years ago. There were hookups then. There were seductresses. There were immoral women. And you find them, so many of them on Facebook, immoral women. So many of them on TikTok, so immoral. They come, they post the most devilish, immoral things. And then if you consume all those things, your mind will start just going wild. And they put it there. Then listen. For her house leads down to death. You see all those your hookup people? You see all that? You see all these immoral people? And many of you are joking. Many of you joke that in Nigeria now, I don't know about other countries. In Nigeria, I say you can't find, pure women and even pure boys as well. It's the same thing. But look, see, he said her house leads down to death, and her paths to the dead. This was Solomon's writing, the wisest man who ever lived. This is not a religious writing. This is wisdom literature. Then look at this one. It says, none who go to her return, nor do they regain the paths of life. That's very scary. You've got to tell your son and men who are also listening to me, be very careful. Be very careful. You're calling it fun. It's not fun. You're playing with your very soul. And then once you are caught up in that seduction, you are caught up in that immorality, he says that you will never regain the path. Don't you see people in their 40s and 50s and 60s, empty men, nothing in their lives? They dress well, they come out like Odogu and wealthy people, but when you go close, you find that these men are empty. There's nothing inside them. And it's women. That's how you find big politician, big name, being caught up in a web of stupid things, with women, with girls like old enough to be their grandchildren. And then you find big man with his pot belly and all that, can't control himself. Why? Because they cannot regain the paths of life. So it's a major distraction, especially for men. Okay, it's a major distraction, the immoral woman, especially for men. So you be careful, because one wrong move and you're finished, and your destiny is finished. It's finished. Okay, so distraction is killing dreams, is killing productivity. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That is serious. And if you have iPhone, like mine, you can actually see how many times you pick up your phone every day. It's shocking. Okay? And every interruption is being shown that every interruption takes about 20 to 23 minutes for you to regain deep focus. I mean, if you're doing some deep work, some deep intellectual work, some engaging work, and then you pick up your phone, they say that it takes at least 20 to 25 minutes for you to regain focus, to go back to that deep work and the deep thinking you were doing before you did it. And don't just look at me as if I'm saying something that you don't know. If it happens to you, confirm. Talk about it. Talk about it in the comment section, okay? All right. Now, the other thing about distraction is that it's costing us, it costs more than just time. Distraction is not just waste of time, okay? It creates series of abandoned projects before us. We have all these abandoned projects. We start projects and then we don't finish them. It erodes your confidence. It erodes your confidence because it causes us to procrastinate when we doubt ourselves, and it keeps us stuck. Okay? Now, so finally, how do you escape? Which is the important thing. How do you escape the trap of distraction? Because we are in a distraction epidemic in our world today. So first thing I would encourage you to do, which is also what I do, is to audit your distractions. Because I audited mine and I found that my biggest distraction trap is TikTok. But I had to do personal audit to find out. I'm not even distracted on Facebook. I'm not distracted on LinkedIn. TikTok, that algorithm is crazy. It's crazy. You just start and you don't stop. Okay, so audit your distractions. Where is your attention leaking? Type that. Type it in the comment section. Where is my attention leaking? Type it quickly. Where is my attention leaking? And if you're just joining and you haven't shared, remember, it's our tradition here. Share this so people can have access to this kind of content. It's not just nyash and all these things and all that, that people need to have healthy content like this, and they can only have it when you share it. So take a moment, share it, and then engage with it so that other people can see that. Number 2, design your focus. You wake up intentionally every day deciding what you're going to block your time for, to do deep work. And then you can have something like no phone policy. that between this time and this time, no phone. And I think the worst thing that some of us do is that we wake up to our phones, checking emails and then checking notifications and things like that. So it messes up the day. Okay? Number 3, master single tasking. Your brain thrives doing one thing at a time. Finish one thing. Finish it well. It gives you that dopamine, gives you that celebratory energy that you can now carry into the next task. Okay, so and then what I do is I use to-do list. Some people quarrel with to-do list, but I think it can be useful in certain situations. Not in all situations, but in certain situations, to-do list does help me. Because I wake up and I say, okay, what are the main things to do today? When I have so many things competing for my attention, and I do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I prioritize it, I have discovered that when I face one and complete it, wow, and I take it, there is this incredible feeling of accomplishment. Okay. The other thing that you can do is to delay gratification. It's not every notification that comes to your phone that you must immediately attend to. Not every message. You can block out time to answer notifications, to comment on your posts, and then that. So my final thought, on this matter of distraction is that the world is very noisy. My goodness, the world is very noisy. I have no way of telling how much content is poured into the nexus on a second by second basis, like billions, trillions of bytes of information every single day, coming from all over the place, coming from television, coming from social media, coming from internet, coming from your office, coming from, my goodness. Something is happening with the government, something is happening in the economy, something is happening in relationships. There's so much noise. There's so much noise. You have got to see, we can't even begin to talk about building wealth, growing your business without dealing with the issue of distraction. Because for some of us, what's keeping our business from productivity, from profitability, is distraction. We are distracted. We are too distracted. We don't even know what our business is set up to do again. Okay? So the world is noisy, but your dreams are worth more than cheap entertainment. All these cheap entertainment. I look at all these comedy skits. I don't want to mention their names, but that's something that, I'm sitting at the airport waiting for a flight, and then you are hearing, those memes, comedy memes. You're hearing it from all different corners. Everybody's consuming this cheap entertainment. But you can imagine what you can do with that time you're waiting instead of just scrolling those cheap things. So your dream is worth it. Type in the comment section, my dream is worth my attention. Your dream is worth your attention. The scandals, the celebrity scandals, and they will always be there. Enough of it. But your dream is worth more than all those. Type it in the comment section. My dream is worthy of my attention. Type it. My dream is worthy of my focus. So reclaim your focus. Give your dream time. So that at the end of the year, you will look behind and not regret. Because the only reason you are not going to be able to fulfill what you set out doing this year is distraction. Okay? So, your dream is worth it. Give it your all. And until this same time tomorrow, whatever happens, ladies and gentlemen, keep showing up. Because you have no idea what's coming your way next. I'll see you same time tomorrow. Have a good evening.